Well, howdy there, guys. Welcome back to Stewie MTG, and this week we've got Borrow Wurmspeaker, Worm Tribal. I was so excited when I saw the previews for this commander. I'd been wanting a Worm Tribal commander for a long time, and so when I saw the previews for this, I was jumping up and down, and a bunch of folks on the Discord were hooting and hollering, and I know probably Brian over at Cure for the Common Game was excited too. But with that, Borrow is a 4-mana, 3/3 legendary creature, human druid. Worms you control get +2/+2 and have trample. So worms are already big, but they really needed that keyword trample. So I tried not to duplicate the trample in the creature. Some of them do, but I really tried not to. And his last ability, if you have excess mana, go and use it. 8 mana, tap, create a 4/4 green worm creature token. But this ability costs X less to activate, where X is the greatest power among worms you control. So a lot of our worms are 5, 6, 7 power. So you could do this each turn for 1 mana. It's not necessarily a part of the plan. You guys got to excuse me. I'm still dealing with this stupid head cold. And with that, let us actually dig right into it. And let's actually look at the worms. So what we have going on... stacked as one come up. So to go along with Borrow, we have Boneyard Worm, Harvest Worm, Fallow Worm, digging all the way back in our archives for these, Thundering Worm, Elfheim Worm, Spiked Worm, Bellowing Tangleworm, Metamorphic Worm, Plated Worm, and what's a worm deck without the infamous Crawl Worm? Crawl Worm was a joke back in the days when I first started. You didn't like seeing it on the other end, but there was removal to get rid of it. But what's Borrow without Crawl Worm? We've got Barbed Tooth Worm, Jotol Worm, Barbed Tooth Worm, Witherscale Worm, Vigorspore Worm, Paleka Worm, Great Worm, has to be an include, Purple Worm, Bramble Worm, Penumbra Worm, Glacial Worm, Whiptail Worm, Engulfing Slagworm, Impervious Great Worm. 16/16 indestructible. Yeah, your opponents are not going to like to see that. Death Coil Worm, Bookworm, and Scaled Worm. With that, we have a couple green and worm adjacent artifacts. We've got, just for flavor, Worm's Tooth. Incidental life gain. It's not a tactic, but included for flavor. And Rona's Monument to help reduce the mana cost on those big worms. Speaking of worm adjacent, we have some token creators besides our commander in Worm Calling, 1 Dozen Eyes, Roar of the Worm, and lastly, Crush of Worms. Got a few legendaries to help us out here. We have to include the other Borrow, the Fist of Krosa, Nylea, God of the Hunt, Nylea Keen-Eyed, and Nissa, who shakes the world to help our mana production. Let me zoom out here a little bit. We have a few enchantments also to help out. We have Season of Growth for the Scry, Colossal Majesty, also for card draw, Garruk's Uprising for card draw and to give trample. We are only in Aura in Worm Weaver Coil and Sandworm Convergence to create some more tokens. We have a few card draw effects or reusable. We've got ourselves Eternal Witness, Harmonize, Return to the Wild Speaker, and Rishkar's Expertise. Let us look at our mana ramp because we need to be able to get those big fat worms out into play. So we've got ourselves a Secure Tribe Elder, Rampant Growth, Yamavaya Elder, Wood Elves, Farhaven Elf, Cultivate, Roiling Regrowth, Kodama's Reach. You happen on a Glade, and Explosive Veggies. Onto our removal, we have Tribute to the Wild, Return to Nature, Wilt. You find a Cursed Idol. And since our worms are really big, I decided to include fight effects such as Bite Down, Rabid Bite, Prize Fight, and last removal is Beast Within. Onto our non-basic lands as we round out the deck. We have ourselves a Treetop Village. Vivid, get in there. Vivid Grove, Slippery Karst, Tranquil Thicket, Heart of Yavimaya. Let's get some of the air out of these. Mosswort Bridge, Kalani Garden, Turn Timber Grove, Sapseep Forest, Gingerbread Cabin, Fertile Thicket, Jungle Basin, Llanowar Reborn, Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx, Blighted Woodland, Path of Ancestry, Myriad Landscape, Terramorphic Expanse, and lastly, Evolving Wilds. With that, this has been Stewie NTG and Borrow Fist of Worms. We will see you all next time. Catch you later.